Well, welcome friends. This looks a lot like the last video, doesn't it? This because this is another Sony LX55, but this is Mark II, version 2, which makes it all better. And it really does. So the Mark I, which isn't denoted by anything on the nameplate. So on the nameplate, the back of this one, it does say 55II, denoting the second version of this. They cleaned up a lot of the bugs in this version that you see in the previous model version. This one also has an indicator on the front. I think it became pretty popular by the time this one came along to have this quartz lock indicator. So quartz lock indicator is here. You can hit these buttons and try and confuse the Pizwah out of it, and you won't. Now the last one, the 55 Mark I, you hit two buttons at once or not giving it enough time to decide what's going to happen, you just drag your needle all across the record. This one is so much better. Still, again, I would say it's probably not on par with the Techniques. Techniques just is a little bit more, I don't know, thorough is what I would say, but price-wise, you're going to pay double for a Techniques, and then you're probably actually going to pay triple for a working Techniques. So just bear that in mind. These are very inexpensive. I would take one of these over an Audio-Technica 60 series any day, unless I really needed Bluetooth or something. These are absolutely fabulous players. So let's go through some of the features here. Of course, it has the on-off button. Great, right? Wonderful. It has 45-33, but what's interesting about it having 45-33 is it'll actually figure it out itself. You don't actually need to select it on the selector. It does have the slots here, and then this light shines down, and in here there's some sensors that are going to pick up the size of the record. So this is covering both the sensors, so it's going to know that it's a 33. The spindle actually is shorter on this one than the other one, which is quite interesting. I don't know why they would make the spindle shorter, but they did. The next thing on our feature set here is the repeat button. It will repeat the entire record over and over. So if you wanted it to, in case you really enjoyed polka. And then you have the tone arm lift and drop button, and if you go back to the other video and watch the lift and drop on the other one, watch this. Bam! Dude, that thing is like, it moves. It does not hesitate whatsoever. The other one does. So, and that's actually, I think this is the first time I've run into, no, this is the second time I've run into a Mark II. I've had some of the other ones where, and actually the way you can tell them apart is by the assembly up here. Inside this assembly, it's essentially the same stuff, but this assembly has really small micro screws on the sides so that you can take the cover off, and the Mark I has just a center screw here. Anyway, so if you know a lot about these players, feel free to put your comments in here. Usually I just churn and burn them. Like when I get one of these, usually replace the belts, lube it, which is really super easy on these. Basically take everything off that can damage the cover, you seal it down, and I put some bubble, what are those things? Amazon usually throws them in the box. They're just like sacks with air in them. Anyways, put a couple of these in there just to make sure things don't jolly around. Close it, turn it over, take out the 9 screws that you got to take out, put in a new belt, which these are the old belts right here off of the last two. I did one prior video. Anyways, put a new belt in there, turn it back over, open the clamshell up, and then while I have it sitting on its side, I clean this rail up, put new synthetic in there, and then it's off and running. I just run it up and down the rail a couple of times, make sure the tone arm's dropping and raising as it should, and you're off to the races. So these are really good players. I can't, they're good players. I can't ding them for being a bad player. The Techniques are much better. But then, like, when you start talking about, okay, well, what about the Pioneer and the Sansui and the Fisher that are kind of in this grade, you know, I think they're all pretty much the same. It's just that this one is trying to you know, satisfy a narrower profile. I think maybe that's why they ended up putting so much of it up here. I don't know why they designed it this way, but they're very unique in the way they designed this. Everybody else just has a tone arm coming down. Neither here nor there. If it's, you know, the good thing about the Techniques is that when you lift that cover, that tone arm goes with it, and you immediately have access to the record, and it'll move itself while you're changing the record out. This style is like you gotta wait for it to get out of the way to access the record. Anyways, cool player. Give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever it is that you are. Like and subscribe.